It's so great to have you here tonight. But before we get started, I'd like to...
Take your mask off.
Well, sure. Why don't I take my... No, people have seen me. They told me to put my mask back on. So, that was a joke, by the way. Okay, I'd like to start by acknowledging that we are situated on the traditional territories of the Erie, Neutral, Huron-Wendat, Haudenosaunee, and Mississaugas. This land is covered by the Dish with One Spoon Wampum Belt Covenant, which was an agreement with the Haudenosaunee and the Anishinaabe to share and care for the resources around the Great Lakes. We further acknowledge that this land is covered by the Between the Lakes Purchase in 1792 between the Crown and Mississaugas of the Credit First Nations. So welcome everyone here today. It's great to have you here at Camp Marydale in the beautiful riding of Flamborough-Glanbrook. We're here with Justin Trudeau, Mayor Fred Eisenberger, and the great Hamilton area team that is going to represent all of you in Canada. So thank you. We're here today to thank you, the volunteers. You guys have done such a great job. You've knocked on doors. You've put up signs. You've raised money. You've made phone calls. You've gotten people to the polls. And all of us here and Canada thanks you so, so much. It's very exciting out there. 3 more days left to go. You can feel the excitement, can't you? Look, we've got the plan. We've got the team. We not only have the best leader in the country, we have one of the best leaders in the world right here. So please, with 3 more days left to go, please, it's going to be very, very close, especially here. Get out there, talk to your friends, talk to your family. And if you can do that, the big red wave will wash over all of us. So, please do that. We don't want to let Aaron O'Toole and his friends take us backwards. We don't want them to undo the great work that this government has done for Canada. So please keep going. We're going to get there. So, we're going to have fun tonight. The Ticats are going to beat the Stampeders tonight. Okay? And we're going to have fun. Now, I have one more special task to do. I'm going to announce our next guest. I got to know him years ago when he kicked my ass, by the way. He was kind. He was very polite. He was a gentleman to me. And yes, it's Fred and Vito again, okay? And this time we're working together. So please put your hands together for the Mayor of Hamilton's worship, Fred Eisenberger.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Vito. You know, I heard the helicopter or plane go over, and I thought there was a banner behind it that said, "Go LRT." Thank you, Vito. I needed to do that. Thank you very much. I am so very pleased to be here to welcome Prime Minister back to Hamilton once again. And I can tell you from a Hamilton perspective, this government, this Prime Minister, Philomena Tassi, and all those that have been working on behalf of the City of Hamilton has done wonders for our city. I can add them up. You know, it's a long list. But let's start with LRT, a huge investment in the City of Hamilton. Thank you so very much, Prime Minister. As well as the traditional bus transit system, another 1/3 contribution to our $450 million regular transit system. That's going to be very, very important investment. So our transit system, by virtue of the investment that this government and the provincial government has made, is going to be transformed for decades to come, and that is on you, sir. Thank you so very much. We can add to that investments in housing, investments in poverty and homelessness, investments in the regular transit system. I mentioned that already. Many, many investments in some of our facilities throughout the City of Hamilton. And, you know, let's not forget about what's so very important to the City of Hamilton, which is steel, and the whole issue around aluminum and steel tariffs that this Prime Minister so patiently but very cleverly worked us through and got them removed. And so I am nothing but grateful for the work you're doing in our city and in our country, and I thank you so very much. I have one thing I'll leave with one of your associates, which is the federal Hamilton priorities for the City of Hamilton. We have a few, and you know what, and they resonate. Let me just read them out. Supportive housing and tackling poverty. Check. Check. Impacts of climate change. Check. Strong economic recovery. Check. Equity, diversity, and inclusion, and championing rural communities. Those are our Hamilton priorities, and I'm pretty sure they're priorities for you as well. So, And we can't let you leave here without a good momentum of the Tiger Cats. It's 21. I told them you couldn't have number 1. That's for me. But 21 will do. So thank you for all the work you have done. And let me just single out Philomena Tassi, who did a terrific job on all of those files, making it all happen for Hamilton, a great advocate. Really, really worked hard to make it happen for Hamilton, and she delivered. So thank you, Philomena, and I wish you all great success on Monday.
Thank you so much.
All right, there we go, Prime Minister.
How are you doing, Hamilton? Oh man, what a view from up here. It is so good to see so many Liberals out tonight. So good to see so many families here. So good to be here with this extraordinary Liberal team. Thank you all for being here. And I want to give a special thanks to Fred. We have worked together extraordinarily well over the past years, both through the FCM, but also directly with your leadership in the City of Hamilton. We are so aligned in partnership on priorities for people here, but people right across the country. And I'm really proud of the work that this government has done and this incredible team has done over the years to build partnerships with people in every corner of the country, particularly at the municipal level, because sometimes the provinces and us don't necessarily get along, as it's their fault, not ours. But the municipalities have consistently been partners for growing our economies, for protecting our communities, for supporting families, for welcoming people from all around the world. And your mayor, Fred Eisenberger, has been just an extraordinary voice in that every step of the way. Thank you so much, Fred, for your leadership. And it really is great to be able to be surrounded by such an amazing team of Hamilton area candidates. It is a privilege to serve in the House of Commons and to serve this country alongside an amazing, progressive, forward-thinking, hard-working team like we have here and that we're going to add to on Monday. Because Canada is very much at a crossroads right now. We have a clear choice to make. The Conservatives continue to put forward that failed approach of trickle-down economics, where you give advantages and tax breaks to the wealthiest and hope that it trickles down to everyone else. Well, they actually don't understand how to grow the economy. I'll give you 3 examples. They don't understand that to grow the economy, we got to finish with COVID. They don't understand that to grow the economy, we need to be supporting families and getting workers back, getting women back into the workplace. And they don't understand that to grow the economy, we have to fight climate change at the same time. These are the things that we knew. These are the things we all knew back in 2015 when we said bye-bye to Stephen Harper and moved forward in a way that focused on the middle class and people working hard to join it. Because what we did over those years, first thing, raise taxes on the wealthiest 1% so we could cut them for the middle class. We moved forward with a Canada Child Benefit that put hundreds of dollars a month tax-free into families across the country who needed it and lifted over 400,000 kids out of poverty across the country. All those kids were part of the 1 million people we lifted out of poverty over the past years at the same time as we created 1 million jobs. That's how you grow an economy. That's how you move forward for everyone. And of course, those values, those principles, that approach was core to how Canadians pulled together when this pandemic hit. Nobody expected it. It knocked us on our heels. And when you're faced with a crisis, there's one thing that you do. It's natural. You fold back on your core principles, your core instincts, your core values. And those core liberal values that we're all about standing up for each other, being there for each other, supporting each other, being ambitious and believing in science, those are the things that didn't just get the government through the pandemic, it got all of Canada through this pandemic because Canadians stepped up. Canadians were there for their neighbors. They were there to help their elderly relatives. They were there to support our frontline health workers who worked so incredibly hard and continue to keep people safe in this pandemic. And as a government, We knew we had to meet that level of care and ambition the Canadians were already showing from the first days of the pandemic. So we created the CERB to make sure that people could stay home, stay safe, and keep food on the table. We created the wage subsidy and the small business rent program that made sure that businesses could just hold through the pandemic and not shut down and disappear. And those investments, that support for Canadians is why we are now coming back stronger and faster than just about anywhere else in the world. And the numbers bear that out. We have now recovered over 95% of the jobs lost during the pandemic, contrasting with the United States, where the recovery is strong, but they've only recovered 76% of the jobs they lost during the pandemic. Our approach of investing in Canadians, of supporting people, not only helped us hunker down and keep each other safe, it also ensured that there is a brighter day ahead. That is what we're here to talk about tonight, because quite frankly, we are on the brink of a new day. You can feel it. The sun is shining. It's coming. We know we're in for a much better fall. But we have to finish this pandemic for good. That's the last thing we need to do before we can really start building again. And we all know the key to getting through this pandemic, the key to getting back to the things we love, the key to avoiding more lockdowns, the key to avoiding any more slowdowns as we recover our economy, the key to making sure that all our kids under 12 who can't yet get vaccinated are safe, that's to get vaccinated. We're a party and a government that listens to science, and the experts and the scientists and the doctors are all unanimous. Vaccination will get us through this. And that's why we are being absolutely unequivocal to support the almost 80% of eligible Canadians who've gotten vaccinated, who did the right thing, who wore those masks and continue to wear them, who washed your hands 25 times a day, who kept your distances, who hunkered down and got vaccinated. You deserve to get back to normal as quickly as possible. And that's the kind of leadership we are going to show when we say, because we say, you can't get on a plane or train in the coming months if you're not fully vaccinated. You need to make sure that we are doing the things with the provinces. We're footing the bill for the provinces on vaccine passports. And quite frankly, Ontario gets it. Even Alberta and Saskatchewan belatedly have gotten it, which quite frankly is leaving Mr. O'Toole completely alone in his approach on vaccinations. It is unbelievable to see someone who wants to lead Canadians unable to lead his own candidates in getting vaccinated. It makes no sense unless, of course, you actually listen to him insist that his Conservative Party is a big tent party. And what that actually means is there is room in his party, and he welcomes into his party anti-vaxxers, the gun lobby, special interest groups like anti-choice groups. He continues to listen to a few instead of standing up for everyone. Well, my friends, you deserve a government that has your backs, that's not defending the rights of anti-vaxxers to put you at risk, instead saying you have a right to go to a restaurant without worrying that your kid's going to be sitting across the table from someone who's unvaccinated. You can sit in an airplane with your family knowing there's not someone who's unvaccinated around you. You deserve to get back to normal as quickly as possible, and this government is the only one that will stand up for you and get this recovery going as quickly as possible, unlike Aaron O'Toole. Parce qu'il n'est pas déterminé à assurer la vaccination de tout le monde. Il démontre qu'il écoute plus les anti-vax dans son caucus, dans son équipe, que les Canadiens qui ont fait le travail de se faire vacciner. Ben voyons, nous savons que la seule façon de passer à travers de cette pandémie, c'est avec la vaccination. Pourquoi est-ce qu'il montre une telle lâcheté, une telle mollesse au niveau de la vaccination, au niveau de la science? You cannot pretend you have a plan for the economy if you don't have a plan for vaccinations that ends this pandemic for good. But we're beginning to see, and we've seen, that there's a lot of things that Mr. O'Toole is simply not leading on. Canadians find it completely incomprehensible that he's busy promising to the gun lobby that he's going to bring back assault weapons to our streets. Guns that are designed to kill the largest number of people in the shortest amount of time. They have no place in Canada, which is why we banned them last year. We're going to keep them banned. That's a choice that's on the ballot. And you may have heard Mr. O'Toole pretend that he's a pro-choice leader. Well, I'm sorry. A pro-choice leader ensures that everyone in his team is there to fight for women's rights, not turn back the clock, and 80 of his MPs voted against a woman's right to choose to limit further access to reproductive services. Shame. And you can't understand the impact of this pandemic, particularly on vulnerable communities, particularly on women, and then turn your back on $10 a day childcare and 250,000 quality spaces right across the country. Shame on him. We need childcare. We understand that moving forward in a historic way on $10 a day childcare right across the country does wonderful things for kids who have the same opportunity to start grade ones with the same advances, the same strength, the same care that any other kid gets. It's a great leveler. It's a great opportunity for kids to move forward on childcare. It's a great opportunity for families who are spending thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars on childcare that would be much better served going towards mortgages or housing or groceries or vacations or whatever it is you need to give to your kids to create a better life instead of pouring it into childcare. You will get that with $10 a day childcare right across the country. It's good for kids, it's good for families, but it's also, and this is where Erin O'Toole still doesn't get it, it's also fundamentally good for the economy. Quebec proved it. When you add women to the workforce, you grow the economy. When moms have a choice about getting back into their careers, knowing that their kids are in quality, affordable spaces, the entire economy prospers, which is why the business community, through this pandemic, through that experience of everyone staying home, are realizing, wow, childcare really is important, which is something the Liberal Party has fought for years and signed deals already with the provinces on. But in this election, we're stepping up harder, faster, and further than ever before, signing deals with 8 out of 13 provinces and territories, very much on our way to signing with all provinces and territories. Mr. O'Toole wants to rip that up, is proof that not only does Mr. O'Toole not understand the needs of families and women, he doesn't understand the need of the economy. You can't have a plan for the economy if you don't have a plan for childcare. And finally, and I could go on a whole bunch of different examples, but I'm going to pick this one because I know it's important to all of us, even as we stand in this beautiful park just outside of Hamilton. We know that we have to do more and faster on climate change. We have to continue to be even more ambitious for the world we want to build, for the world we want to leave to our kids, for the jobs and the careers we need to give to our kids. We know this is the way the world is going. Canada can either lead or be dragged along, and we are leaders. We are leaders in innovation. We are leaders in environmental stewardship. We are leaders as Canadians who understand the impact and the power of nature. Let us step up. Let us be even more ambitious. And that's what our plan is. We're going to be putting an absolute cap on oil sand emissions and decrease them to net zero. We're going to be continuing to ban sticks. We're going to be making sure our electric grid is net zero by 2035. And we're going to make sure that every new car in this country by 2035, half of them by 2030, is a zero-emission vehicle. And we're going to help you pay for it. And we're going to create the good jobs that go along with building it. Because that's what we understand, is that You can't have a plan for the economy if you don't have a plan to fight climate change. And the perfect example is right here in Hamilton, where we made a $400 million investment in Dofasco to transform from a coal-burning steel plant to an electric arc steel plant, like we did at Algoma and Sault Ste. Marie. And this doesn't just massively remove emissions from Canada's emissions, but it also ensures that Canadian steelmaking will remain sophisticated, competitive, and greener than just about anyone else in the world, because that's our advantage in the world. That's the advantage that Hamiltonians and workers right across the country are ready to deliver to the world. But Mr. O'Toole, he doesn't get that. He wants to go back to Stephen Harper's targets. He wants to wind back the clock to targets that we've already passed with our approach today. We are on track to getting 36% reduction from 2005 levels in 2030. He wants to bring us back to 30% reduction. It's not about he just doesn't have ambition to move forward. He actually wants to drag Canada back. Can you imagine the Canadian government showing up at COP26 in Glasgow, Scotland in a few months and saying, yeah, no, unlike everyone else who's committed to going further, we're going to take a huge step back because that's what Canadians want. That's not what Canadians want. Canadians know that we can rise to the occasion. We can step up with the most ambitious plan to fight climate change this country has ever seen, that is going to be able to concretely deliver not just the protection of our natural world and our planet, but the good jobs and careers that people in Hamilton and right across the country deserve. But I know progressive Canadians have gotten in a certain habit when it comes election time. And I know all of you have friends, have that uncle, that neighbor across the way with an orange lawn sign, who are having exactly that reflection right now. And you know what it goes. You know how it goes. You know it says, we're really worried about a conservative government taking us back in the wrong direction that doesn't reflect our values and our priorities. And we know that the Liberal Party, a Liberal government, is the only way to prevent Erin O'Toole and the Conservatives from resurrecting the Stephen Harper failed approach on climate, on the economy, on families, on everything. But progressive Canadians also want to vote for the party with the best plan, the most ambitious plan, the plan that's going to step up on progressive values like help for families, support for workers, the fight against climate change, real concrete action to counter the housing crisis. Well, you can tell your friends and your uncle and your neighbor that in this election, both choices are the same choice. We sat down and put together the most ambitious, progressive platform in Canada's history. There has never been a government shooting so high, so hard on the fight against climate change, stepping up in such a big and realistic way to help young families buy a new home, to ensure that there is more supply built and to defend homeowners' rights. There has never been a government so unequivocal about defending people's rights and safety, on gun control and on women's rights. There has never been a government more dedicated to growing the middle class and helping people working so hard to join it. That choice in this election is the Liberal platform. So tell your friends and your uncle, I'm really singling out that uncle, but we all have one, and your neighbors across the way, to take 5 minutes this weekend to take a look at the Liberal platform on the issue that they care about most as progressives. And whether it's on the environment or on housing or on ending this pandemic for good, they will see that we have the strongest plan. And you don't have to take my word for it. All the top climate scientists and economists in the country have said that ours is the best climate plan by leagues. Mark Jacquard, the top climate economist at SFU, one of the top people in the country, pointed out that the NDP climate plan is worth a 2 on 10, while ours is worth an 8 on 10, because better is always possible. But that is a huge difference. So people don't have to worry that they're not being ambitious enough, they're not being true to their values as progressives when they vote Liberal. That's exactly how to be true to your values as progressives. Nous savons que quand vient le temps de choisir un gouvernement, les gens veulent aussi voter pour le parti qui a le plan le plus ambitieux pour lutter contre les changements climatiques, qui va être là pour défendre nos artistes, nos familles, nos travailleurs. Eh bien, c'est pas le Parti néo-démocrate, c'est pas le Bloc québécois, c'est même pas le Parti vert dans cette élection. Le plan le plus ambitieux et concret pour les Canadiens, le plan le plus progressiste et la façon d'arrêter Erin O'Toole de faire former un gouvernement, c'est de voter libéral. So if you want to make sure that everyone's choosing to get vaccinated and we end this pandemic for good, go out and vote Liberal. If you want to make sure that we're keeping assault weapons off the streets and standing up unequivocally for a woman's rights, go out and vote Liberal. If you want a government that's stepping up in real concrete ways on housing crisis and on $10 a day daycare, childcare, go out and vote Liberal. And if you want a government that understands that the only way to build jobs, careers, and fight climate change at the same time is to go out and vote Liberal. So that's the challenge for people over the coming 2 days. Talk to your friends, talk to your neighbors. Tell them to join our movement. Tell them to pick up the phone. Tell them to reach out to their friends. Tell them to go knock doors. Let's make sure that people are stepping up to make the right choice for the future of Canada, because the decisions we take now and in the coming weeks will determine not just how we end this pandemic, but what Canada looks like for years and even decades to come. The choice is now, my friends, and the choice is clear. While Erin O'Toole wants to take us back, we will choose forward for everyone. Merci, mes amis. Thank you so much, Hamilton.